Sorry about the delay. We good? Good. Perfect. Action as a result of non-public. The board voted and approved to move Sherry Stackpole forward for the next year in the school board seat. And we'd like to thank Jeremy Fullerton as well for coming out tonight for that position as well. And hopefully you'll continue to stay involved moving forward. Mr. Brooks is here tonight to swear Sherry in. And I appreciate Mike coming out. Thank you. So if you want to take that.
I don't have an actual oath for her because I didn't know who was.
Oh, I have one right here.
I mean, I have the language.
Oh, but you don't have her name on it. I can write it in for you.
So you have the one she's going to sign?
I do. Yes, sir.
Raise your right hand. I state your name.
I, Sherry Stackpole,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
and affirm
and affirm
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties upon me as a school board member
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
This have done under the pains and penalties of perjury.
This have been under the pains and penalties of perjury.
Congratulations. And Jim's got one for you to sign.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mike.
You want to do it now? No, I'll do it. All right. All right, other actions result in non-public. The board accepted the professional staff nominations and assignments for next year. We also approved, I got a letter from George Epstein. He said he will accept the position of moderator again for the next year. Sloan Jarrell was approved to be the school district clerk for next year, and Paige Dakota as the school district treasurer again for next year. Those were ones that weren't, they were write-ins, but there weren't any that were enough to actually win the seat, other than George, but I figured I'd just add it into the list tonight. And we also accepted 2 resignations this evening with regrets. So I'm going to jump ahead to 6:30 because we had posted for a public forum at 6:30 to hear from the town of Madison about their thoughts, concerns, good, bad, and different, about the middle and high school system and/or options that we may have or look forward to moving forward. So if you want to speak, please come up to the microphone and state who you are and where you're from, so that we can have that all recorded, please.
I'm Dawn McHenry. I live in Idlewice on 14 Little Shore Drive. I have 3 children in the school system. I have a junior at the high school, I have an 8th grader at the middle school, and I have a 4th grader here. So this change that's coming affects me and my children, particularly my youngest. I'm not sure that this matters, what I'm saying, because I just read the Conway Sun's article that's coming in the paper tomorrow saying that you guys have already decided not to send the 6th grade to the middle school.
So we took a position on that, February?
Last February.
That we were not in favor of sending the 6th graders to the middle school. That is correct.
I think that's a terrible idea. We moved here to Madison 7 years ago this summer when my oldest was, he finished 5th grade in Tamworth and he started 6th grade here. We chose to buy to get him to the middle school as soon as we could, because in Tamworth they don't go to the high school until they're in their freshman
Ninth grade,
year.
yeah.
That's a huge disservice to them. These kids are ostracized beyond anything that I could probably put into words, and I know because I spent the last week thinking about it. If Conway is going to be sending their kids starting in 6th grade and we're going to hold our kids back that extra year, they're going to be ostracized even further. Like, those kids have an entire year with their new peers, learning how the middle school works, adjusting to their new peers, making new friendships. The social emotional change is going to be huge, and it's going to be very much seen. Like, I know it's going to be seen. I think academically, they're going to be challenged. I know they're challenged more at the middle school. It took my son until this year, in his junior year, to get good grades. He spent the last, 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade. He spent the last 4 years barely passing. It was an adjustment for him to go from what they're provided with here to get to where he's at in the high school now. And he's taking harder classes now. Like, he's taking advanced classes, college prep classes, and he's got all A's, but it took 4 years to get him to get A's. So that's an adjustment that they're going to have to make a year behind their peers if we're not going to send them. I just think it's a bad idea. And if I'm probably in the minority, and if that's the case, so be it. But I think we should at least have a choice. Like, do we want to keep our kids here, or can we send, if we have a 6th grader that we want to go to the middle school, we should be able to choose that they're going to Kennett Middle School. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dawn.
Nicole Nordland. I have a 22-year-old who's graduating college this year, and a 14-year-old who's a freshman in high school. And I read in the paper that we did not send a letter to opt out of the contract with Conway. We were the only school. Or are we still doing that? Or are we talking about that tonight?
That letter had been sent and was misplaced, but it has been.
Oh, it was there.
It was sent
Okay.
February 15th.
All right, so I just think that I thought this was, I don't know if this meeting was more about talking about our experiences with the Conway school system, or whether or not to go to 6th grade, setting 6th grade. That's like new to me. I
I
didn't
think
know.
it's both, Nicole, because
Okay.
we're really, our contract will be up soon, so that's why we're discussing this
Okay.
now. So we don't even really know what's happening. We haven't been told if the 6th graders are we don't really, I don't think they even perhaps know that. So
Okay.
I think it's a whole thing.
So my experience, which is different than the McHenrys, was that my 22-year-old, I felt, got a decent education, 7th through 12th grade at Conway. He's graduating with a degree in statistics from UConn next week, and he was always busy studying. He took advanced classes all through high school and whatever. My daughter, who's 14, when she entered 7th grade, they literally have had no expectations. Like, there's never been a test to study for, never been a project, never a reading assignment, nothing she had to worry about. Now, even in 9th grade, it's been a concern. I attended a Meet the Candidates night for Conway School Board. I think it was last week or the week before, and one of the school board members brought up that he was just realizing that Conway had a policy to promote students that didn't fulfill the requirements every year. So if they didn't even go to school for half a year in 8th grade, they still made it to 9th grade. They didn't do any work. They didn't complete any assignments. They didn't pass any tests. And he was really appalled. And I was the first one to clap, because he said that has to change. If he's just finding out, that candidate's just finding out, my daughter's known that. She's like, why is this person in the next grade? They haven't been there all year. They didn't do any work, and they just been passing on. And I think that's one of the most important negotiating things. We have to talk to Conway if we decide to stay. The policy has to change, and in my opinion, the academic excellence has to be there. It's not excellent at all anymore. The expectations are so low. It's kind of scary. I've been worried about it, and if we were talking about 3rd and 4th grade, and my daughter was, my second child was, I could pull her and I could do something different, but I don't really have that option. If any of you are parents of teenagers, to make that switch now, I'm kind of stuck in the system, and it's hard, because I really want the best education, and to go back to the price tag. If we're gonna pay that, in my opinion, absolutely absurd amount of money to educate one child per year, per pupil per year, it should be the absolute best education that money can buy, and there should be no wavering off of that, and that's just been my experience. Thank you.
Thank you.
Adam Price, just curious, before the board made the decision not to send sixth graders, were the financial implications explored as to whether or not the tuition would save us money versus what we would need for staffing in Madison? And also, if we're going into negotiations, what are the sticking points for the school board? Is it tuition, or, you know, what are the points that we're looking for? A seat at the table in Conway, et cetera?
So discussion, I can answer that. Discussion around moving the sixth grade to the middle school, I think was purely a educational decision, a philosophical related to the age of the students going to the middle school, and that they do well here. So it was not, we didn't look at the budgetary implications on either side. And anybody, please correct me if I'm wrong or mistaken here.
To me, you can also control the budget. If you have students here, it's a much smaller group, you know what they're getting.
Yep.
Whereas when we send them to they're getting an education, but we also have to get feedback on if that student needs services or not services, and how that's being fulfilled. Here, we have direct oversight of those services.
Okay. And, you know, I know a seat at the table at the Conway School Board, or SAU, whatever you want to call it, has been a sticking point for a lot of towns around here because we have no voice other than yelling across town lines, really. Is that a sticking point for this board in negotiation?
So I think we've had some discussion, and basically taxation without representation.
Right.
You know, there's an SAU 913 joint board meeting that happens, which is more of an informational only type meeting.
Right.
But so yes, potentially having some valued input, I think at the table, versus just, I mean, I sat for years as an SAU member, as the SAU representative to the budget committee in Conway.
Sort of
And
just
it
feels
was
like
it
you
was
get
it was
brushed off.
it was a couple hours wasted every time I went, you know, because it was there and.
I went to a few also with Jim, and I felt the same way.
But I think, yes, it's trying to look at our overall options for quality of education, overall cost, and the best way for me, to budget easily over, you know, looking forward. Looking at the current contract the way it reads now, it is, you can't, I would have no guess, and I wouldn't even ask my BA we tried it years ago, to guess what next year's number might look like based on the number of students in every school and how it worked. We're always off. So it's really hard for us to budget. And when we're doing our budget, we get the Conway number for next year, our last possible time, because of the way it's in the contract. It's the end of October, November. It's right at our last budget run. So we have our budget set, and then it's Conway's numbers come, which is our contract that way, but it can either help us or kill us. You know, in some years, it's like, hey, our Conway number's going down $500,000. Some years it's going up $750,000. And it's like, you know, we just lost our whole budget right at the end.
Right. I guess one last question. Would the board be open to reconsidering the sixth graders if they were to open a poll to the town of Madison and see if the parents were interested in doing that?
I would not be opposed to opening it up.
Just to see where the parents land on it, because I know that there's only one or two here tonight.
And we've been invited to the sixth grade.
And we haven't heard whether or not that's what is
Right.
happening
No,
either.
yeah.
So I think it's
Correct.
kind of hard to, you know, guess these things because we don't really know, and we haven't negotiated with them yet, so we don't really know what's happening, is my take on it. But I think that, you know, if that's something that just is really important to people, if that is what's going to happen over there, that they will be sending the sixth graders, then
Just
that,
to know where
Yeah,
the town lands.
yeah,
That's what
totally.
people are looking for.
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Others? So I'm going to, so Mike.
Yeah, you gotta see if you can ask permission for.
Correct. So this is Mike DiGregorio from Conway School Board. Would like to speak?
If you guys are okay with it.
Yeah.
So take a motion to approve. Motion by Jeremy, second by Ed. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye. Carries.
So, Mike DeGregorio, Chair of the Conway School Board. I thank you for letting me just real brief talk tonight. I 100% agree with you about the relationship with SAU 9 and SAU 13, and how that's really more of an informative board rather than the ability to sit down with Conway and have concerns. With that being said, I'm chair right now. Obviously elections matter, so I don't know if I'll be chair in another week or so. But as long as I'm chair, you guys are always welcome to come to Conway and sit down at one of our board meetings. Just let me know ahead of time. I'll put you on the agenda for a back and forth of your concerns. It doesn't matter. Forget about public comment, because that's usually that really awkward, you guys, hear somebody say something and nobody ever talks. I would be more than happy to put you on the agenda for a real back and forth conversation, because certainly the questions and the concerns that Nicole and others have said tonight, we have the same concerns. This board is, I think, really working hard right now to go after K-3 education and really focus on that level so we can fix the problems for years down the road. We've started to put instituted some real concerns with discipline up at the high school, and actually we're going to focus on the middle school next year, because we have some of those same discipline concerns over there as well. So I hear what you guys are saying. We're living it, but it's, for me as the chair, it's really important to get out into the community and hear exactly. I go to a store or something like that and can't get through Hannaford's without 10 people stopping me, right? Because I listen to their concerns. And we've been trying to institute some of those over the years, or this past year, I should say. But as we all know, the way budgets are developed, we start a conversation on a budget in September, and the last dollar spent in that budget conversation is almost 2 years later. So that's just how that rolls. So we've created a budget for this year. Hopefully it gets passed next week. And then the new board will formulate ideas and concerns that won't happen until 2025, 26, right? So it takes a while for the thought of progress to start working through that budget process. To answer your question about the 6th grade, that decision's been made. We are closing the school and the 6th graders are moving. But elections matter. So on April 9th, if the wrong people get elected and they determine that they're going to change that course, then it could get changed. I won't kid you that it could get changed. But right now, the decision has been made to close the school and move the 6th graders up to the middle school. With that being said, we have to institute, and that's not happening until September of 2025, right? Yes. So we'll have an opportunity to put together a budget for that transition. And for me, in this current board, we're really focusing on that transition for the 6th graders and how that affects them. We have a lot of kids that succeed. We have no projects succeed at the middle school, which we think we're going to institute. At least this board feels that way. There's a lot of things we need to focus on when that 6th graders move, because it is a big move to go from that age group up to middle school. So that's really important for me. We're still working out details as to how that will affect sports. We're trying to work a deal out with the town on, I don't know if I want to say it yet, but
It's being recorded and it is live.
it is live, and it is going to get out there, and I'm sure Lloyd Jones will listen to it tomorrow. And we're trying to work a deal out with the town as far as the rec center, which is an after school, in the middle school for towns that don't belong to Conway now. Not sure if that'll all work out, but what we fully understand is we have a bunch of kids that get out of school at 2:30, and they kind of hang around the middle school until 5 o'clock, until their parents are getting home or whatever they're doing. We got to figure out what's happening with those kids. So there is a lot that we're working on, and no question that we're forgetting things that you guys may find important. So either the folks here tonight, if they get up and say something, and Ryan Wallace, my vice chair, is over here writing a bunch of stuff down. We're going to take that information after we go around to all the different schools or school boards and we'll start working on try to fix some of the concerns that you guys have. But the invitation's always open. As long as I'm chair, the invitation's always open. That just send me an email, give me a call. I'll get you on the agenda and listen to anything you have to say. Okay?
Perfect.
Thank you.
If there's
Thank
any
you.
questions for me, feel free.
Questions for Mike? Okay, seeing none. Any board comments or thoughts?
Can I just ask one question?
Yeah.
Do you know if a decision's been made on how you're going to split up your elementary schools? If you're gonna go K to 2, 3 to 5, or 2 separate K to 5?
That decision hasn't been made yet. We've asked the administration, which really are the professionals in this whole thing, to determine that for us. A year ago, if you asked me about K2 and 3-5, I was 100% against it. But it seems, for me personally, the more I learn about it, the more I like it, especially when it comes to, you know, Conway has always had this, this different town areas in town disagreement, or, you know, the kids are different from North Conway to Conway and Center Conway, right?
5 fire departments.
It's always been 5 fire departments, right? It's always been that separation.
Yeah.
What I like about the K2, 3-5 scenario is all the first graders are going to be together. No matter where they come geographically, they're in one school together. And when they transition up to third grade, they're going to go together. So what I see as a problem right now is the different areas, you know, almost in this competitive thing together between the different parts of the town, and then they get up into the middle school, and they all have to go along, right? So educationally, I think, is what the administration's focusing on, and the benefit of having those Q and 3-5. But I don't think the final decision's been made. There's no question that busing will be an issue, right? So, you know, because you may have to have separate times, start times, unless you add another bus, or even 2 buses. So that, I think, will be a problem. It certainly will be a problem for the folks, the parents that drop their kids off at school. We want them to use the bus, just like you all do. We want them to use the bus more than they do, but it seems like we got a bunch of parents that drop their kids off every day. So that's going to be a problem. I think transportation may be the biggest problem that we're hearing.
Because they'll have one, they could have one in
could have one in
K2,
each.
one in the 3-4, and one in those 8-6.
So probably one of the biggest benefits. So I hear all the time, and I don't know how Madison does it, but I hear all the time from teachers that don't like multiple grades in the same class. So 4th, 5th, for example, or 2nd, 3rd kind of a thing. I hear it all the time from teachers, they hate it. But they do that because of class size. It turns out that if you do the K2 and 3-5 scenario, you kind of eliminate all that, obviously, because you could grow or expand your, what do they call that, sessions, or I don't know what the configurations. You kind of can, you just add a class on. If you get, you know, more than X amount of kids in a class, you just add another one on there, as you know, so that can fluctuate a lot easier when you do it that way. That's what I'm being told. So for me, that's a huge benefit, to have the right size classrooms and the right kids in those classes. I'm totally opposed to, you know, a 4th grader in the same class as a 5th grader, because I think it really takes that exceptional teacher that can handle, you know, both ends of that spectrum. You know, so I don't like it, but so we definitely are working on stuff like that. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Others?
Anna has something.
Oh, I stopped on parents a while ago.
I'm Anna Gross. I'm a parent of a current 4th grader at Madison, and I just want to state that the thought of my 6th grader embarking on their middle school career in the mess that sounds like Conway is going to be, and being exceedingly little fish in an even bigger pond, is very concerning to me. I do not support our kids going to the 6th grade. I just think that they deserve to be kept here in this environment and let Conway get things settled, and then we can join as we always have been. But my bigger question, after all, this isn't to talk about the 6th grade transition, but it is the middle and high school contracts. And so I guess my major question for the board right now is, what are options? What are the options that you're considering? And what very variables you're taking into consideration with those options, whether it be cost, whether it be quality of education, which I have not heard the greatest things about the middle school. I personally am concerned about the middle school years. I would, getting to the high school, from the reports that I've heard back at the high school, it seems a little more positive. But I am concerned about the middle school and would like to know what options you are thinking about,
So
if you are able to answer that question.
So I think option-wise would be, if school choice is definitely a option out there nowadays, looking at other potential schools, potential high schools, offering it as a school of choice or an option for parents. We haven't ruled anything out at this point in time yet. And we're still, like I said, February, we sent the letter to Conway just to let them know that we're not interested in renewing the current contract the way it reads. So it's not saying we're out of Conway, we're not pulling out, but it puts us back at the table to negotiate. So it's really looking to find, what other, I know other towns are looking at different schools and having other questions about financial and educational. So I don't think nothing's solidified as of yet with us.
To Jim's point, we haven't ruled anything out. I mean, to add on here and build something, I think that's probably a crazy idea, but nothing has been said.
Nothing's
No.
on the table, right.
Yeah.
So we want to hear, we are interested in hearing what people have to say and what they think about it.
Right.
Sure.
That's what we wanted to hear,
Right.
thoughts tonight, so that we can make our decisions and then have it come back and so that our town knows what we're thinking, what we're going to move forward with. And we want to take what the town wants. I mean, what I may want may mean nothing to what the rest of the town wants. So at that point, I'm doing it for the town's sake, not for myself.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody want to express their opinion? Now they've given us the opportunity.
Wait a minute, I didn't open that back up again.
No, please do.
Any other comments?
Well, I guess just putting my parent hat on, I have a new 7th grader and who gets on the bus at 6:25 in the morning. And I had always thought that 6th, 7th, and 8th should be together. It just makes sense. Most schools are kind of like that, districts. But I can say that it's been extremely challenging, that transition. And I couldn't imagine him doing it in 6th grade at all. I don't even know what I would do if my current elementary child went over to the middle school at 6th grade, getting on the bus, busing alone, being on the bus at that age, in that grade. It's a long ride. They go all the way to the high school, then they go to the middle school. They pick up at the middle school, go to the high school, then the kids get home. So I'm just saying from my own personal experience, and I think they need to stay here and be on the playground and, live out, that growth spurt that they're going to go through in that when they're in 6th grade, and then kind of get a little more mature to be able to handle going over to the middle school. But again, that's just my personal experience as a parent.
It's hard because every child is so different, too.
Exactly.
They are.
And it's,
And
right, and
I think what we've heard is that some are ready
right, and that's true with.
and some are
right,
not. So
and
how
that's
do you
always-
make sure you
that'll
deal
always
with the
be
whole?
case, right,
We could look at, to your point, school choice.
right, which I would love that, but.
Right, even from here.
Yeah.
Perfect.
So what would that look like?
Ooh, no clue.
This is a.
We're all shooting from the hip right now.
Yeah.
I'm just curious, what is our current cost per student at the high school? Do you know?
Heather?
Yes, we do. It'll take a second.
I don't know if I have it broken down by high school. All together, middle school and high school together, Madison's just under 20,000, 19,177 for this contract.
Others? All right, we're going to move on. Thank you.
Thank
you. I'm going to move backwards.
Thank you,
Thank you.
thanks for coming.
Take a motion to approve the agenda. Motion. So moved across the room. Pick two, Pat? Yep. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? Carries. Motion to approve the minutes of the 3/4/24 school board meeting? Motion. Motion by Jeremy, second by Ed. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Or Sherry's abstaining? This is one, just because you weren't at those meetings.
Okay.
That's okay.
You probably read it.
What it was about, we'll work you through it. And then the motion to approve the special board meeting of 1:31. Motion by Jeremy, second by Ed. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye, carries, and one abstain. Perfect. Consent agenda items, you have your MES principal, do you have a board packet in front of you, by the way?
She does.
I do.
Okay, perfect. You have your elementary school letter, your high school principal's report, capital reserve fund balance, and a copy of your capital reserve plan. Anything need to be pulled out of that? Seeing none, take a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented. Motion by Sarah, second by Jeremy. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye, carries. Good. Chairperson's report, next school board meeting is May 6th at 6 PM. Next SAU 13 joint board meeting is April 15th, 6 o'clock, here at the Madison Elementary School. Look at that, playing from the hip. And then the following joint board meeting will be June 17th at 6 PM here in Madison as well.
She wrote that down, sorry, the 15th at 6. At
Public
6 o'clock.
comment.
We have a meeting here, a joint board meeting. I could text you later, too.
We'll get you on the schedules too.
Yeah, April 15th. at
Public
6.
comment. Anybody? 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 Going once, or twice? So, Principal Woodard.
So, in addition to what's in your board packet, letter of updates, today, Tammy Flanagan and Diana Hayward submitted the CLIF grant, which is the Children's Literacy Foundation Year of the Book grant. If selected, it would give us $25,000 worth of programs and support in new books. So they're looking at trying to provide children with this opportunity with reading and writing beyond the school day. There's a lot of focus of like extended programs or clubs and things to encourage kids to be readers, writers, but also some family programming on a more consistent basis to encourage that. So that application went out today, and keep our fingers crossed and hope that, you know, we hear back from them soon. Upcoming is the community lunch on April 11th. So hope that you can come. Call Holly in the office to reserve. Followed by Moana Junior. That will take place at 1:45 on the 11th, 6:30 on the 11th, and then Friday night at 6:30 as well. So you have 3 opportunities to come and hear our kids sing and perform. Kindergarten registration, we are currently enrolling, taking people for appointments. We have 9 appointments so far scheduled. So that puts our projected enrollment down, just so you know, because we have 18 6th graders. So it'll take us down 9. That's why we have cut a classroom for next year. So we're down 1 classroom for next year.
So far 9 incoming?
Yep. Last week, Heather and Jen and I went to a grant conference provided by the New Hampshire Department of Ed, and it's for all the grants that are covered under Every Student Succeeds Act, and there are a lot of new changes. So those are our Title I, Title II, Title IV grants that we have, and so there's some significant changes happening at the state level of how we do things, applications, plans. So we're working on that as an admin team to get those together. And I hope to bring you proposals of just what we might be using some of that money for next month, including a summer enrichment program. So we have traditionally had a summer enrichment program here for years. It was in place before I came. We stopped around COVID. We had one after everything settled with COVID, and we didn't do it last year because of staffing. But we are looking to revive that and bring it back. It'll mirror the same schedule as ESY, That's what it used to previously do. So we'll use the same dates and times that ESY does, so we have a, system already in place there, and so we open it up today to get preliminary registration from parents of who will be interested, so then we can hire the appropriate number of teachers. It will all be grant funded. I should have started with that. It's all grant funded. There's no cost. It does not impact the budget. So we will pull grant money for that.
So this is what we get when we send you to a grant conference? More money?
Well, no, there
Okay,
isn't more
just
money
checking.
coming out of the grant, but the ways that we use it, trying to be, it was really clear, in one of the presentations that if you are getting grant money and you're using it for the same thing and the same thing and the same thing, that's not what grant money's for. Grant money is
Supplanting.
kind of like, it's to get something going. Like for us, one of the first ways we used it, we had a 3-day-a-week counselor. We went to a 4-day-a-week we had a 3-day-a-week, we went to a 5, we paid 2 days out of the grant to make it up full-time, and then we went down to 1 day out of the grant, and then took it on. So that's the point of the grant, is to try something that is evidence-based programming, see if it will work for your school, your people, and then make it sustainable. If it's worth it, then the budget should be taking that on. So that's what we're looking at, is what can we do to support kids? It all has to be around kids and achievement with focus on literacy and math, and some social emotional learning, but we're feeling fairly solid there, so we're really focusing on the math and the literacy. So that's where we'll put most of our money.
Great, I'm excited about that, thank you.
All right, should we just skip over the next one?
Sure.
Oh, playground
No.
updated costs.
Tara, you're gonna let me skip
I was
over that one?
I was being funny.
Motion to
Then I-
skip over.
Jeremy. I'm gonna kick
So
you in here.
Holly was able to get an updated cost because that price was only good for this school year. So the cost to have the playground installed is $156,173. So with the approved budget, that had $50,000 in it for the playground, and so then it would be looking at any end fund balance that might be available to supplement the other part, so we could get a playground installed sooner
Then
than
later, please.
Okay.
We do have one piece of equipment out there that is gonna get cited when we have our playground inspection, so it really is sooner than later. So,
Fair enough. Cited that, like, we should rip it out of there now?
we will wait and see what we can do for temporary repairs, but there are things that need to be replaced. So that may happen as soon as snow's gone. The next round.
The snow's coming.
next round of
Snow's coming,
snow's
not
gone.
going, so we're all set there.
So,
Special?
no, I just want to give you a knuckle sandwich, but.
All right, questions for the
Kicked
principal?
off the point. No.
Did you have anything else to add? All right, moving on to my next Heather.
Okay, starting with revenues report. They're running pretty close to projected. I say pretty close. I think we are seeing some kind of lunch revenue from the federal child nutrition is down a little bit. Seeing that across the board, all the districts actually. And the same with Medicaid, which may very much be the biller having some problems there that we're trying to work through on that. That's not, none of that is a very big chunk of the budget, so that's good. And then since this report was printed, the adequacy payment in April did come in.
Okay,
So that's pretty much running on target.
all right.
And then the expenditures, we are showing, at least on the expenditure report, a positive budget balance, but I went back through in the fund balance projection to go through and spend the things that were not encumbered that I know are still pending. And another item that I'll bring up next. So we still are projecting a positive fund balance, but just barely. We are definitely overrunning the special ed lines and building repairs
Okay.
by a great deal. Some of that is the schoolhouse that was not in this budget, but still very much comes out.
Right, the
managed
fence to
by
put around
the
it
district.
and the testing and all that we did. last fall.
And we've had some changes and made some corrections. I think somebody questioned consolidated, when the switch was made over for Tamworth and Madison, consolidated, put all the billing in one and buried it. So we've been able to dig that out. Madison did get that reimbursed recently. So that the internet charges will show up. And then there's been some billing, I don't know if the error, we did have some special ed bills go through with identifying the correct student, but listed it as a Tamworth student in the billing. So that's been caught against Jen, and that has also been corrected.
Okay.
And then I did not bring the printed copy, but the other circulator pump
Yes.
It's like 14.
is now not working.
Right.
So I have a request now if the board would consider waiving their bidding policy and having Fournier Heating and Cooling again get the replacement. That will work. And it is, again, $14,500.
Yeah.
Motion to waive.
So, yeah, we can do it now, I guess. So motion to waive the policy by Jeremy, Ed, second by Jeremy. So our policy is to bid out anything over $5,000, $10,000. We currently have a relationship with Fournier Plumbing and Heating, who just did the other circulator pump in the fall. So it would not be in our best interest to go look for somebody else to do the work that he's already done. Any other thoughts or concerns?
Nope.
Do we need to tap into reserves at all?
Capital. Do we need to tap capital reserves at all to do that, Heather? or-
Not yet. I will have a better answer at the May meeting. Finish going through.
We're already doing that for the HVAC. anyways.
We're already looking at a capital reserve for the HVAC summer project. So it kind of depends a little bit on Conway's billing for their special ed. They bill twice a year, and it depends on which paras are assigned with Madison students, whether it's like an A cost, a B cost, or a C cost. So we do our best to estimate until we get that bill. So we'll know the final.
Sounds like something we can put in the contract.
Yes, exactly. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? You're welcome to do it whichever way you want to be. You good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just to add on to the whole building woes, we also have a booster pump that is located just connecting the old part with a new part that has been failing. It started failing February break. So that's in process of being repaired. But like most things that we find in this building, you just start chasing it, and it leads to something else and something else. So there's, it's not just a straight up take the booster out and put a new one in. It's a lot more work. So that work has been happening and will continue.
Because the building itself was built in different stages. So right as you come in the front doors,
Right, so it's connecting
Right.
to this system.
so right as
so-
you come in the front door, if you turn to the right and look up, there's actually a access panel there, and it's right above that. Okay.
We probably won't burn any oil next year.
Probably not, once this
Place
is
will be
all
so
running.
efficient. Perfect.
I think we can get down to 52 degrees every day, though. Keeps those kids moving.
And then, since Adam Price, you're still here, I broke out the high school portion of our tuition is $17,966 per student, and the middle school portion this year is $22,248, and that is a kind of a glimpse into how horrible the formula is. What plays into the high school is Bartlett, Jackson, and Tamworth only send high school students, where Freedom, Madison, Albany, Eaton send
The middle
middle school and high school.
Question?
Expensive.
It is.
So that's why we're going to,
Looking at options.
right.
Questions
That's
for
why we
Heather?
have to do all the things.
The only question I have is, as we get towards the end, you said we've overrun in special ed a little bit. So we could potentially tap the special ed capital reserve fund if needed
If needed.
to get us to where we need to be. Okay.
And I will figure that out before the meeting so we can post for a public hearing.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Dr. Mike.
All right. Well, first on the list is, we've been lot about grants. In order to get those grants, we need to have our assurances signed, so I'm just gonna, if you want a motion to have you sign as chair, those grant assurances, that'll be for next year's grant. We have to have those put into the grant management system by June 1st. So the idea is we'll get those in early, and that just, by signing that, we're agreeing to the terms of our federal grants, that they can only be used for certain pieces, and those are all our title grants, Title I, Title IV, Title II.
Motion to approve me as sign. Motion by Ed, second by Sarah. Any other discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Carries. We'll do that.
Great. All right, thank you.
I want to hear some singing here now. Come on, come on, you
All right.
promised.
Next, we have the solar eclipse. So we met with our administrative team. We talked with the unions about how to best handle this day. Obviously, there's an educational aspect to this. There's going to be a safety, portion of this, given visibility, and I think there's also a point of equity for students. So what we wanted to do was ensure that all students who wanted to see the eclipse had the ability to do so. So what we're looking at is that somewhere around the I believe it's 3:30 mark. That's when we should, in our area, should have like 97.9 obscurity in looking at the eclipse. So we're going to push back dismissal time 15 minutes. That'll ensure everyone gets a chance to see it. I've already alerted the bus companies and talked with the administration and the unions. So we're also giving the option for parents that if they would like to pick up their kids and experience that together, or maybe they don't want anything to do with the eclipse, they can bring them home and do their own, do their own thing. So at 2 o'clock or after, you'll be able to pick up your students, and anyone who wants to stay and take the bus home will be delaying transportation 15 minutes that day. And all students will have access to protective eyewear. So
They can just turn around.
yes.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come
Yes.
on, I was waiting for it, Mike.
Yes, yes, I see what you did there.
All right. No, I think it's something that is not, when's the next one?
I think 50 years, so I don't think I have to worry about
So
it.
I'll be dead. I'll guarantee you all of that. I'll be dead.
Don't say that.
Okay, I can hope. How's that?
Jim,
Me,
you're
I can
so
say it.
dark.
Um,
My God,
perfect.
lighten things up a little bit, would you?
All right. Hopefully I'll be alive and walking like this.
I'll
No.
push you around. I'll leave you my Weldon helmet. I'll push you right over. I will push you over the edge.
All right, Mike, we can continue.
All
on.
right, okay, preschool. So we've been having some internal meetings. Heather, Lisa, Heather has been also part of that. Our preschool program is going to be here in Madison next year. I'm just beyond excited about that. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for our SAU 13 families, and just to give another option for folks that want to send their little ones here for a preschool experience in public school. So we've been planning that process out. We've been having conversations around enrollment, finances, staffing, building logistics, all those pieces. So we have a lot of work ahead of us, but we are well underway and have a great team behind me, and we're going to make that a outstanding program, and I'm just beyond excited about that. So we'll also be talking about some logistical pieces at the April 15th joint board meeting regarding staffing and just the building use in Madison, because it's an SAU program but housed in Madison. So all the finances are within the SAU umbrella, but the physical location will be here in Madison. So good stuff. Very excited about that.
Perfect.
And thank the voters for their support.
And I think the thing to mention in that is all three towns passed it.
Yes.
So it wasn't a matter of one town made up the other two,
Right.
but all three towns, based on the number of votes that were there, passed it. So
Which is
I
awesome.
was happy to see it that way rather than, have Freedom and Tamworth both vote no and Madison voted yes. There were so many more voters that it won. And now they're feeling like, oh, Madison pushed us
Right.
through, or vice versa.
Right.
So I'm happy the way it turned out.
And the only other last-minute addition is I wanted to share that we are very grateful for ESSC Ski Day that we took part in on March 14th. The Freedom Board and the Madison Board had me write a letter thanking Cranmore for a great day of skiing for our kids, and just wanted to publicly thank them for that opportunity.
I have to say, it was a great day. I skied, and traditionally, ski day, we've gone to Attitash, but we went to Cranmore, and for whatever reason, this year is not all schools. There was no Conway schools there. The only schools that were there were Madison, Freedom, Jackson, and the Robert Frost Charter School.
Yeah.
And basically, they gave us the whole mountain for the day. And the kids had a great time.
Even
We had
those
our-
kindergartners,
Right.
they had a blast.
Even the kindergartners.
Just had to put
and
that out
We had
there.
the Zips Lodge on the left to ourselves.
Yep.
So that it was, I think, good control for the staff. So great time. And I think I said to Mike actually ski with us that day too?
I did, they let me out.
They worked him.
It was awesome.
So, perfect. Any questions for Mike? Seeing none. Committee assignments. All right, let's practice. Everybody raise your hand.
It's funny.
Hand them up. All right. So, Budget Committee.
No, thank you.
I'll do the policy committee.
All right, so Ed's jumping right in for policies.
I'll be a policy.
Ed, I thought you would do the budget committee.
I'm already tied up.
Ed,
Yeah,
you are.
policy.
Very strategic. And data governance, I know a guy.
So, data governance, yes, I know that guy too.
We're just
Wait,
skipping right all
I'm not
over
on the
everything
page.
here.
Hold on. Don't volunteer me for anything.
I'm not volunteering for
No, he was volunteering himself
Oh,
for data
okay.
governance. Ed?
Oh, here I am.
Ed's on data governance, yes. Ed and Jeremy are on policy.
I got a question for you.
Yes.
Is the SAU 913 Area Joint Board, is that once a year?
Quarterly?
Quarterly.
Quarterly. I'm happy to go on that as well.
You can put me on there, because I'm gonna hold Mike to his, they'll actually let you.
I want to be on it too.
I'll stay.
Okay, all
right,
right,
so
so
we're-
I'm gonna put the three of you on there.
Why don't we, no, you should be on it too.
I can show up as a guest, just not as a representative of the board.
Okay.
I can be the guest. You can go right on that, Jim.
So Jim's gonna be,
All right.
You
I'll
jumped
take
on it. You wanted to do
I
it.
just knocked Sarah right out.
That's fine.
boy.
I let you.
Ed and Jeremy on
Yes,
that?
correct.
Okay, can you all three go at once?
Sure.
Yes, because it will be,
Posted.
it will be posted. As long as it's posted, we're okay. Actually, no, we always had an alternate, so I will stick as the alternate, leave the two of you on.
You'll be the alternate.
Yes.
It says 3 members.
Right, but
Right,
if we go
but-
as all three, we have a quorum.
I see.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then, okay.
Yep, I was confused that three were written in here before. Building and grounds? Jeremy?
Yep, I'll do that.
Manifest has been myself and Ed. I'm happy to maintain that.
Keep signing.
And then Jeremy, you were an alternate. I'm gonna jump right back to the top. Committee.
Sherry, any interested in that?
I don't know how to do math.
You're so full of it. That's why we brought you on the board.
No,
I heard she would do it. That's what I heard.
Yeah, I'm not, you know what? She's been on the board all of an hour.
right,
I
fine.
don't think that's fair.
Fine.
I will,
I'm kidding.
I'll do it still, I guess, if you really,
I will attend to help if needed,
okay, fine, whatever, Jim, you owe me.
but, or I will take it.
Just, let me just put it out there that this is not my favorite place.
All right.
All right, so Sarah with Jim as her backup.
That's my spot.
CIP is me, I'm happy to stay there. Jump in, is there anything in this list that you see you would like to take on, Sherry?
Did you guys already, I'm sorry, you guys were jumping a little bit.
Yeah.
The SAU 913 Area Joint Board, did you guys already settle that one, or?
So Jeremy and Ed with
You want
myself
it,
and
you
alternate.
can
If you want it, you can have it.
I'll
It's-
take that.
Okay,
Take me off.
so take Ed out, put Sherry in.
Jeremy off, put
Take
Sherry
Ed.
on.
Take
Ed
Ed
out.
off.
Yeah.
Sherry in.
Okay.
That's great.
And then,
What about the delegate?
So the New Hampshire School Board Association delegate, we have not had anybody attend for Madison or the SAU for,
Susan went, I think.
it was in January, that's when she resigned.
Oh, but didn't she go to one of them?
She was on the committee, but I don't know if she attended. But it's
Okay.
when if the board wants to pass a resolution, you would go and represent Madison at the delegate assembly.
I feel like she went to something.
So-
Went to the training.
She went to the
Oh,
training.
okay, excuse me.
Yeah, so you can sit there, I mean, it's one meeting a year.
Yeah.
It's a midday thing down in Concord.
yeah, you can put me on there. for that.
All right.
you.
Sherry's going. Do you want to represent Freedom too? Just kidding. All right, so I think we've got everything there.
Tuition options?
Tuition options, so myself and Sarah there. I'm happy to stay on that.
Me too.
Negotiating committee with Conway. Oh, missed this one, unless I'm on the wrong page. We need 2 negotiators for Madison, because the Madison contract is up this year as well.
Yep.
I'll do that again. I did it last time, and
Alright.
I enjoyed doing it.
What's this now? I don't-
CBA.
Madison negotiations.
And Sarah's gonna do that.
Sarah,
I have someone else to do it with
anybody
me.
else?
I'll do it as well.
Okay, so Sarah and Sherry. Perfect. Anything else that I've missed here?
No.
All
Am I
right.
still on the data governance with Ed? What is that?
That was you
We're
and
not
Jim.
Nearly as involved since they hired Luke for IT.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
and Ed's
Ed's,
in that field of
yeah.
view, so.
I was just there because I
it's
thought
good
it was
to
a
leave him
cool
there.
thing to do. Just kidding.
All right, that's all I've got. Hopefully we
You
got that
sure?
right. Anything else that we've missed, just assign Sarah.
Fine.
So we've done the appointment of treasurer, Sloan Jarrell, has been taken care of. We did that in non-public. Appointment of moderator, George Epstein has agreed to continue there. Appointment of school clerk, back up. Sloan's not the treasurer, that's
Right.
Paige Dakota.
I'm like,
Sloan is the school district clerk. We did have somebody reach out about school district secretary. We just got that tonight, so we're going to meet with them next month. And that's another big job to fill, as soon as we can get anybody from in-house to... She's not even looking at me.
She's
No.
smart.
Just
Um,
anyway.
We did the professional staff nomination in non-public. And then first reading of policy KF, revision,
Yeah,
yes.
so Ed and Jeremy met with myself prior to this meeting. I called Primex to find out their take on the issue that was raised about, if there's a snowstorm or their school is closed, could we still open this space for, recreation or any other type of event that may not be school sanctioned. After I kind of explained the situation, they recommended that we meet with Primex rep and their attorney, so we're gonna get some legal advice on their dime, because it sounded a little more complex than they were prepared to give me an answer just based on, the person who represents our claims and our cases. So, Ed and Jeremy and myself crafted some additional questions. We had some conversation around that, so I will provide an update to both of them tomorrow after I get off that call, and then we'll meet again prior to the next board meeting with any recommendations. So we should see this back for a first read.
Perfect.
Next month.
Nice.
Perfect. Appreciate that, thank you. I mean, I know it's not lightly taken, so.
Crossed your T's and dotted your I's.
Yes, second quarter Kennett High School honor roll. This is one thing that I've always fought with Kennett to receive, because once our kids go to Kennett, they're Conway students, they're not Madison students, and they have a real hard time disseminating, other than the bill, who belongs to who. So
If I may,
yes,
may I read the names?
you most certainly can.
Thank you. I would like to read the names, ladies and gentlemen. The following students are high honors. I apologize if I butcher the name. but
Maisie.
Maisie Brown, Gabriel Friedman, Cabot Henley, Mackenzie Morehouse, Aiden Parsons, Vanessa Van Dyne, Alyssa Brooks, Charles Doherty, Theodore Gray, Josie McDonald, Lance Scholik, Timothy Sprouse, Christopher Bowie, Tucker Laughlin, Adeline McAllister, Eliana Newton, Catherine Shackford, Kendall Shackford, Abigail Virgin, Owen Arias, Danny Claudio, Emma Jeffrey, Patrick Laughlin, Cole McAllister, Brady McHenry, Haley Morneau, Corbin Powers, Colin Powers, Isabella Sidoti, Caleb Allen, Jack Gerald, Leah Levesque, Hannah Smith,
Aaliyah,
Alea Wade, Jocelyn
Julie.
Gilly, thank you, Celie Hidden, and Lisette Robbins. Like a round of applause?
They're on. So that's 15 honors and 22 honors. So
That's awesome.
37 students from Madison in total.
Nice work.
So,
Nice work,
Could
people.
somebody send me that list, please?
yes. It should be right in the board packet.
Oh, it's in the board packet?
Yeah.
Great, okay.
If you don't have it, I will.
No, I have it.
provide you. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's great, and that's why we send letters out, and it's great to read their names off, because it's huge to see these kids out here.
And of that, 26 of those kids are Madison Elementary School students. So not all of them are, because they may have moved in or whatever, but there are 26 students here that were.
That graduated
For
from
at least 3 years, so the way that we do it for the data that we collect is if they were here for 3 years or more, then we count them as hours. And so there are 26 of those students there.
Nice.
Beautiful. Thank you.
I hope my kid's on that next year. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Jackson, if you're listening.
Facilities, circulator pump, we've already discussed that and moved that. Madison Corner Schoolhouse, we are meeting on the 15th of April, prior to the joint board meeting, to get the steam rolling again. We received, the town voted to approve the $25,000 for the lead remediation, but now it's put our feet to the ground and start making a plan as to what's gonna happen, how it's gonna happen, fundraising, and everything else that needs to go forward with that.
So on the financial obligation to the school, do you have a feel of what the school would be financially obligated for besides the 25,000 we raised?
I don't.
Okay. You had thrown a number out of
Right,
400 as
right.
a
If it was-
pie-in-the-sky number.
So 400 was the number that we got from Bergeron Technical Services. Rough estimate based on them doing other historical buildings. I think some of the conversation that came out during budget season was, well, maybe we can redo the siding, but it doesn't have to be 1890s period. It has to be siding that looks right, looks good, but doesn't have to be whatever that is on the building now. So there's some savings to be had there. So I'm thinking that at the end of the day, 50 to 100,000 from the school, from the district itself, and the rest would be raised through grants and/or.
I'm just thinking
Project
budgeting
funding.
for even next year of
Yeah.
what that will look like.
And when we meet on the 13th, I'll make sure to,
So after we get a playground, then we'll budget for that.
Right, it just seems to me like that's why it's sort of a thorn in my side.
And the 400,000, that was like complete restoration.
That was,
using
yeah.
historically accurate, materials and all of that. So that really was the high.
and I'd like to get somebody to come in too and go through the building itself, side note, and tell us, like Ned Rogerson asked, what's the situation on the roof? It doesn't leak, but if you look at it, it bows pretty well.
Right. Ridge bowl could be toast.
Right, and, nobody's ever been up in the crawl space up top to know what's going on up there. I mean, obviously, if you look at the big hole in the front, there's something that's been living there or enjoys living there. So it's just a matter of making sure that's all right for us too as well. And before we come back with a number, I think we'd like to have our ducks in a row. That's all I have. Is there anything else? Have I missed anything? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn, 7:36 by Ed, second by Jeremy. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed or abstaining? If you are, have fun. You can sleep here.
Did you press the button?
Can we take out of our public forum? Sixth grade choice? I don't know how, for me, that's not a big sticking point.